guys, we're hanging out in the cave today because I needed to make a quick video for you guys on how to make the best bone broth you have ever had in the Instant Pot. I have made many batches now, and I have found some amazing tips that will ensure that you get like the best tasting bone broth ever. Let's not make the mistakes that I made in the past, and I will show you a way that you will be drinking bone broth and incorporating it into your diet every single day. Hey guys, my name is Mary if you're new to my channel, and I go by the Healing Cave Lady. Today we are making the best bone broth you've ever had in the Instant Pot, and I would have to say, a very experienced bone broth maker. Most of you are asking me tips for essential oils for digestive health and for colitis and all kinds of other gut issues. But really what it comes down to is removing the offenders from your diet and consuming insane amounts of bone broth. Bone broth is probably one of the most amazing superfoods that you could ever consume. It consists of the most bioavailable, digestible amino acids, which are the building blocks of everything that heals the gut. Not only that, it is instant protein. 1 cup of bone broth that is cooked slow has 9 grams of protein that takes almost 0 digestion. So the LA Lakers were even using bone broth as a recovery drink after their games. So if the nutritionist for the LA Lakers thinks bone broth is a good idea as a recovery drink, then I think it's a good idea too. So the reason I really wanted to show you this recipe is because I have gotten so many messages from people that they're making gross bone broth. It doesn't taste good, it's not gelling, it's having all these issues. I'm gonna show you a foolproof way of making the best bone broth you've ever had that you like literally wanna drink out of a mug in the Instant Pot, which is the easiest way to do it. And it's much faster than doing the overnight 24-hour method. So, and with no further ado, these are the ingredients that you're going to need and an Instant Pot. So we're gonna start by turning our Instant Pot on, and what we're gonna do is start in Sauté mode. So the Sauté button is right down here in the bottom corner. So we're gonna turn that on. Open up our Instant Pot, and you can immediately use some kind of fat that you wanna use. I'm using unflavored coconut oil from Tropical Traditions. This coconut oil has no taste to it, so it works perfect with any kind of bone broth. And we're just using this to kind of sear our bones and help develop flavor. I really think this is an important tip that a lot of people don't know about doing when making bone broth. So it's really important to take a little bit of fat and put it at the bottom of your pan for sauteing. So you just put a little bit of unscented coconut oil. You could use clarified butter, duck fat, any appropriate fat for heating. Don't use olive oil or anything like that. So we're gonna go ahead and wait for this to heat up, and it just takes a minute or so. You'll be able to see the oil at the bottom is all melted and just bubbling up a little bit, and then we're gonna add our roots to it. Okay, so it only took a minute or two. I went upstairs, put some lipstick on, came back downstairs, and my oil is ready to go. So we are in Sauté mode, and now we're gonna go ahead and take our root vegetables and put them in the bottom of the pan. So this is gonna help develop flavor, and it's also going to brew like a tea. So we're gonna have ginger, turmeric, super anti-inflammatory ingredients that are gonna get pressure cooked into this broth to make it not only so soothing on the gut, but totally anti-inflammatory. Turmeric is wildly antifungal, helps with candida and all those other kinds of things. So this is going to be like probably the most nutrient-dense drink that you're ever gonna have. Not only that, it helps curb hunger. Bone broth helps curb hunger, makes you feel more satisfied. So if you drink a cup of bone broth before a meal, like you will lose weight. Like I can't guarantee anything, but I'm just telling you, you will lose weight because it actually curbs your hunger, fills you up full of protein, and is so soothing so that when you do eat the food afterwards, it helps with digestion. So we're gonna go ahead and put all of our rough cut ginger, turmeric, and onions. We're sticking to these because if you put carrots, celery, and things like that, it really makes the flavor really musty and kind of gross. And I've had so many people comment that, oh, I just put carrots and onions and greens and things like that, and my bone broth turned out really nasty. That's good for stock, not for bone broth. It's for short periods of time, those foods taste good in broth, but for long periods of time, these things will work great. And you can also do, I noticed that rosemary and thyme hold up very, very well with slow cooking. So we're gonna go ahead and put those in. It's gonna sizzle. Ooh, gonna get ya. So we're gonna put that in. This develops our flavors. And even kids can drink bone broth with the turmeric and the ginger. They won't even notice the flavor. It's gonna be so very mild, but you're still gonna have all the benefit of having those things. It's almost slow cooked like a tea. So we're gonna put that in. And then I'm just gonna take a regular rotisserie chicken carcass. I rip all the meat off and throw these in the freezer so they're ready to go anytime I'm gonna make bone broth, and you don't have to defrost them or anything. So this is just a rotisserie chicken from Whole Foods. And you know, save all the gelatin, put that in there too. I know you look at that and you're like, ew, this is the most healing part of the bird that's stuck to the bottom. So we're gonna stick that in, and this is gonna help develop the flavor as well. So we're gonna stick that right in there with the vegetables. And we're just gonna let that go for a couple minutes. We don't want it to turn black on the bottom or burn, because we don't want a burnt broth, but we want little brown bits at the bottom. So I'm just gonna let this go for a minute or two. Like, I can't guarantee anything, but I'm just telling you, you will lose weight because it actually curbs your hunger, fills you up full of protein, and is so soothing so that when you do eat the food afterwards, it helps with digestion. So we're gonna go ahead and put all of our rough cut ginger, turmeric, and onions. We're sticking to these because if you put carrots, celery, and things like that, it really makes the flavor really musty and kind of gross. And I've had so many people comment that, oh, I just put carrots and onions and greens and things like that, and the bone broth turned out really nasty. That's good for stock, not for bone broth. It's for short periods of time, those foods taste good in broth, but for long periods of time, these things will work great. And you can also do, I noticed that rosemary and thyme hold up very, very well with slow cooking. So we're gonna go ahead and put those in. It's gonna sizzle. Ooh, gonna get ya. So we're gonna put that in. This develops our flavors. And even kids can drink bone broth with the turmeric and the ginger. They won't even notice the flavor. It's gonna be so very mild, but you're still gonna have all the benefit of having those things. It's almost slow cooked like a tea. So we're gonna put that in. And then I'm just gonna take a regular rotisserie chicken carcass. I rip all the meat off and throw these in the freezer so they're ready to go anytime I'm gonna make bone broth, and you don't have to defrost them or anything. So this is just a rotisserie chicken from Whole Foods. And you know, save all the gelatin, put that in there too. I know you look at that and you're like, ew, this is the most healing part of the bird that's stuck to the bottom. So we're gonna stick that in, and this is gonna help develop the flavor as well. So we're gonna stick that right in there with the vegetables. And we're just gonna let that go for a couple minutes. We don't want it to turn black on the bottom or burn, because we don't want a burnt broth, but we want little brown bits at the bottom. So I'm just gonna let this go for a minute or two. Okay, so I'm just gonna take my tongs and mix everything up and make sure that it doesn't get burnt on the bottom at all. And I just see some little brown bits, so I know that we're ready to add water. Now we're gonna add filtered water and a splash of apple cider vinegar to our mix. Okay, so I took my tongs and I kind of mixed everything around to make sure nothing was burning. You know, just want little bits, nothing burnt. And now we're gonna add all of our filtered water. There's a little max fill line here. And I'm using multi-pure filtered water, so I'm gonna fill that up. So we're gonna get a little over 1.5 gallons. And we're gonna add our chicken feet. Probably should have added those first. Add your chicken feet first, as many as you can fit in. So I'm doing like about 1.5 pounds here. They're frozen as well. You know, get what you can fit in there. And a splash of Bragg apple cider vinegar. This helps get the minerals out of the bones. That. And now you are ready to put the top on and ready to get going. Okay, so now that we have everything in there, we're gonna put the lid on. And it goes on like so. And then you turn it to lock it in. And you make sure the little knob is pushed on seal. And I'll show you what that looks like in a picture. And then we're gonna go ahead and set it. Okay, so I'm gonna hold my camera for this part. So we're gonna wanna turn it off of the Sauté mode. And then we're gonna hit, you can hit actually a bunch of different buttons, but we're gonna go ahead and hit manual. and then it's already set on high pressure. So we're gonna turn it up to 120 minutes. That's the longest you can set the Instant Pot for. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run it for 120 minutes, which is actually longer than that because it takes some time to heat up. And after 120 minutes, it automatically goes to warm. So you don't have to wash it. It's gonna go to a safe temperature. And then we're gonna hit 120 minutes again whenever we come back by it. And we're gonna hit 120 minutes again, and we're gonna run it 3 times. And if that's over the course of 2 days, that's totally fine because it goes on a 10-hour warm mode. So if you hit it and then leave for 3 hours and then hit it again, leave for another 4 hours and then hit it again, and then it runs overnight, you're still gonna be good because you have 10 hours of warm time where it's gonna stay at the right temperature, and it actually is gonna give you a more gelatinous healing broth because it's slow cooking when it's not in high pressure mode. When your bone broth is finally finished after you've run it the 3rd time, you're gonna switch from the sealed mode over to the venting mode, which you can see venting and sealed. I'm gonna keep it on sealed because it's actually still heating up, but that's how you do before you actually turn the lid to take it off. So after your bone broth is complete, what you're gonna wanna do is get a large stainless steel container, fill your sink with ice, and get a fine stainless steel mesh sieve and a ladle. And you're going to take your bone broth and ladle it out and put it through the sieve and make sure you get all the little bits out. So after you're done with that, you're gonna swirl it with a little bit of sea salt. You're gonna do like Florida Cells or Cell Gris, some beautiful Celtic sea salt. And you're gonna do that for preservative reasons, but also to give that broth just a little extra flavor and a little extra minerals. So once that's done, you can put the lid on your pot, and I do this so nothing gets in there or water doesn't get in there, and I put it in the ice bath. And once it's cool to the touch, it's ready to put into containers. So you can freeze the bone broth right away, and it's gonna be good for like a year in the freezer if you put it in a deep freezer. If you put it in the fridge, it's going to last 4 to 7 days in the fridge, and a lot of people say a lot more, but I always like to stay on the safe side and say 4 to 7 days. So things that you can do with your bone broth. You can drink it in a mug with a little sea salt and pepper, slice some onions in it or some jalapenos and kind of make it spicy or fun. You can put it into any kind of soup, make anything that you would use chicken stock for, and you can use that for your bone broth and you're getting the same benefits. Or you can reduce it and make amazing sauces and add red wine and butter or clarified butter and make beautiful sauces that you can put on top of your vegetables or other meats, and you can incorporate it that way, and it does not destroy the gelatin in the broth. It actually makes it thicker and richer. So those are all the ways that you can kind of incorporate bone broth into your diet and still get the amazing healing benefits. Cool to lukewarm. So once that's down to cool or lukewarm, which happens actually very, very fast, believe it or not, you take the lid off and you're gonna wanna bottle it, you're gonna wanna put it in containers. So you might be making a soup that night and you throw it in your soup, but otherwise you're gonna wanna put it in the freezer. So what I like to do is I use these plastic containers. I know it's plastic, but I've used glass, even the glass that's appropriate for freezing, and in the defrosting process, they tend to break. So I use plastic now because I can give them away to friends. It's not going in here hot, and it's going in the freezer. So, and because bone broth has almost no fat in it, you're not really transferring the plastic. If it was something that had a lot of fat in it, it would actually transfer the chemicals. So there's a very small amount of plastic or chemicals going into your broth. So you wanna make sure it's cold or cool, and you ladle it into the containers, and you can put it in the fridge for an hour or two to make sure it's really cold, or I put it, lukewarm to cold to cool right into the freezer, and I put them in these containers. And then when I want to use it, I just pull it out, I set it in warm water just for like a minute, and I can pop it right out into a pan and heat it up. And I find that the 16-ounce containers are really the smartest size. You could do 8-ounce containers, you could do quart containers, but I love to give these away to people. I do it all the time, probably more than I even keep it for myself, but it's really great. So I'll put links for all of these things that I use to make bone broth. And hopefully this video helped you, and hopefully it took a lot of the pressure off of making bone broth. It's really easy, it's kind of no hassle. It only takes like 5 to 10 minutes to actually prep it and get it going, and then you can forget about it and hit the button again and forget about it and hit the button again, and then you can kind of strain it at your own will. You can wait until the evening because it'll stay on that warm cycle for 10 hours. So you don't have to worry about, you know, being on demand to strain your bone broth. So, and the straining process is really quick too. So you can dump all those bones in the trash, or they can get composted, or whatever you can do with them, and all the nutrients will be in your bone broth, and you will be on your way to healing and feeling better. And you'll be really excited that you can do this on your own, and you make, you know, nice big batches of bone broth at a time, or for you, or to share with friends. So thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.